we are again. I'm pumped about this student that we have on, another student interview today, which is really cool.
I'm excited because we know him and we know his family, and it's just an easy conversation.
Yeah, it really is. And he's just so comfortable to talk to. He's comfortable in his own skin. And he and I have, it's kind of goofy. I can't believe that we don't end up talking about this on the podcast with him, but he and I play Fortnite together like all the time with your husband.
My husband.
And myself and him and some other students.
Yeah.
One of which actually we bring up in the podcast today. He plays with us quite a bit.
Yeah.
Who's already away at school. And so, yeah, we'll hear about his job with Lego, a little bit about
his transition from high school to what's next.
Yeah, and trying to figure that out. I think a journey that a lot of students and certainly parents, of students probably are living or have lived or know people who have kind of gone through that, lived through that. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
And the difficulty of when you're in that space, but some of your other friends have decided to jump and go ahead and make that decision. And what it feels like to be one of the people who's hanging back, who didn't
Tries
jump.
to figure it out a little bit deeper.
Yeah. So it's really cool. We're just really excited for you all to hear this interview. And so check out our interview with Caleb Jusay. It's really, really good. One of the things that Kelly and I were talking about, we're like, we have to talk to him about this because not that this is the most interesting thing about you, but I think it is really fascinating that you not only work for Lego, but that you are right now the top salesperson for Lego in North America, in the United States. Is that true, or what is that?
Salesperson is a stretch because they don't really monitor sales as an individual as much as they monitor what do people think of you, personally.
Oh,
so it's the most surveyed, positively
popular.
reviewed within certain time frames. Yeah,
in the United States.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Is it North America or is it
North
United
America?
States?
Yeah, North America.
Because that's way bigger.
Because all of those Canadian and Mexican stores and Central
Yeah.
American stores as well. That's pretty crazy, man.
It's really impressive.
It sounds really cool, and then you're like, okay, it's the most right now is 18 in a week of positive 10 out of 10 reviews. That's me, but it's like
that's insane.
That's crazy because I would have never thought to even.
I'm gonna go on and rate
that. I would not have done that for anyone.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I feel like top tier.
No kidding.
To get me to go onto a website and actually answer the survey in the email
That's
that I'm sent.
Yeah. And so are they sent an email or do they have to go on the receipt and find the website?
There's a QR code you scan.
Okay.
And so we've made it pretty easy.
Okay.
And then we recently switched. You don't even have to buy anything. It's not a receipt anymore. We just have a sign. And so sometimes if they don't buy anything, I'm like, just so you know, here's a sign that you can scan.
Did you feel loved today?
Yeah, I'm like, did you feel like I just met every single need,
Yeah.
How it's Chick-fil-A's pleasure to serve you?
Yeah,
Do you feel pleasured? Am I pleasuring you? Is the real question.
Yes,
I want the customer to be like, it's my pleasure to be here, and it's because of you.
I love this so much.
So that's basically what I do at Lego for them.
Yeah. So
it's working.
It must be working.
Yeah.
Because people are taking time, precious time, that they could be watching something, scrolling, doing something else.
Sometimes they're really annoying though. It gets bad.
What do you mean? The reviews?
The Lego doesn't really care unless it's a 10. 9 is not a good survey. An 8 is a horrible survey. Anything below a 10 is basically a 0.
That's so very European.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't Lego a European company?
Yeah, Danish.
No, there we go. Yes, of course. Americans would be like, 8? 6?
It's 6. Yes. Honestly, anything above 5. It's above average.
It's above
average. So
yes, I got a degree.
So some of them are just 9 out of 10. People were great, but the stock, man, didn't have enough stock. I'm like, that was my fault. Sorry.
Dang. And you have a Lego tattoo?
Yeah.
And you had that before you worked at Lego?
Yeah, that's how I got the job.
That's so amazing.
Yeah. No, I knew my manager since I was 4.
Okay.
I mean, it would help even if
it did help because then they're going to feel bad.
Look at my dedication.
They're going to be like,
I'm hardcore.
I can't tell the dude with a Lego tattoo to not work. You can't work here because he obviously can.
Yes.
He has a Lego tattoo.
If there's a highlight reel out there for Lego, generally you're probably on it. Just you know what I mean? That quick little B-roll shot of the person with the tattoo of the company, and they're like, no way, someone has a Lego tattoo.
Right. Yeah.
So, if you were going to be closest to top something in North America, what do you think you're closest to the top? Like,
That's
if
a
you're
huge question.
That is a big question. I'm like, that's a big deal because you said that's not that big of a deal.
Yeah,
That's
it
an
feels like
insane deal.
It feels like a huge deal.
I'm
You're
nowhere near the
definitely
top of
diminishing it.
anything.
But it's
in
also
North
like
America.
it's also like who counts it? Because I'm sure there's been more, but it's not documented enough to like. Because I'm sure somebody's gotten like 19.
Well, then
20.
they just put asterisk on record.
Right.
It's kind of like this is the hottest day
So
on record.
It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, that's something I guess I can have. I can hold that one.
I feel
But it's not like a Guinness. It's not like I can.
take that.
I'll just take it and run with it. But it's like,
No, that's pretty sick.
That's
That's awesome.
It helps me like my job more to say.
Well, you must like it already, or you wouldn't be so highly,
Yeah.
reviewed unless
Yeah.
you're just an incredible.
I
actor.
try. I definitely, when it comes to social interactions with customers, I've had to switch because it started with like I was like, I'm going to try and get 10 surveys this week because we used to get like a Lego set if you did, like they give you one for free.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I was like, I need to get 10 surveys this week. And like my first month, I got 0 surveys every single day. Every single day.
Something is wrong
And I like
here.
literally, I would be like, I'm so obsessive over it that I was like, this number, this star on the board for each survey, because they put a star on the board for every survey, like it's preschool, like you did good that
Like
day.
back in the staff room or whatever.
Yeah, in the staff
Star.
room, we have stars next to our names. And so
That's
I'm like, this is
incredible.
my self-worth. Like every single day I'd come
Honestly,
in.
I would feel the same.
Right.
way.
It just naturally trains your brain to be that way.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
realized what actually got the surveys was not putting on a customer service voice, for me at least, because all my other coworkers do it all the time. And they'll do customer service voice in there.
So here, real quick, just for anyone
Yeah.
listening who doesn't know, we've heard you talk normally. What would your Caleb's customer service voice sound like?
Well, when I'm answering the phone,
Okay, yeah.
This is like the only time I really still do it.
Okay.
But it's, thank you for calling the South Park Lego Store. This is Caleb speaking. How may I help you today? As fast
very-
as humanly possible.
It's very low.
As
That is
fast
very
as humanly
low,
possible.
yes, the
And I just
register.
try to make it sound like radio show host.
Yes.
I'm just getting the point across.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, I'm looking about a set. I'm like, go ahead. And they're like, you got Home Alone in stock or something? I'm like, we sure do. Would you like one on hold
Sure
for you?
do.
And then that's it. I don't do it any like that for actual customers anymore.
Sure.
I'm just like, yeah, what's up?
That's awesome.
Welcome in.
Yeah.
I would appreciate that. I don't like when people try and like
Oh, yeah.
Hi,
act
welcome.
like they're not. Like, I know
Yeah.
you're not like that.
Come on.
Really?
Like level with me a
Yeah.
little bit. Come
Yes.
on. Yeah.
Which I think everyone recognizes now that there is this difference.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why that one lady that was working at Chick-fil-A that had the crazy eyes and was like kind of went with the exaggerated, like, oh, if you're going to make me say this, I'm going to exaggerate this to the
Right.
nth degree.
Yeah.
Then it became this like crazy video.
Yeah.
That
I don't
went
know
everywhere.
if customer service entirely, because in the clip she like does this like head.
Yes, I know,
she's
but I
like-
mean, I think she's
like
totally
that.
like
Yeah,
goofing
she's doing
with it.
that. She's like, I don't know if I would ever, you could ever pay me enough to do that for customer service.
But if you were forced to do the voice, then you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I'll do the voice.
I'll do the voice and I'm gonna dial it
Watch
up.
me.
Watch me do the
Challenge
voice.
accepted.
Dude, also, one of the things that I found out about you that was really intriguing to me, because I think we met you when like you were in middle school. Pretty
Sixth
sure.
grade is when I met you.
Yeah. And I had heard, I think already at that point, had you already started doing improv?
Yeah.
So just a kid that does improv. Like I've always wanted to have the guts to try and do something like that. Never done it. But you were doing it like in middle
Should go
school.
to Caleb.
Well,
know.
I just
You guys should
hate.
join a club.
Yeah, we should. We should do an improv.
Are you still
club.
part of?
No, I haven't done improv since like freshman year high school.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I didn't like, I always liked acting. And like when I was really little, I was like movies, direction, like being a director or being an actor was what I wanted to do. And I liked a lot of TV shows more because I learned that TV shows are a lot of sitcoms and stuff are like improvised. And so I hated memorizing scripts. That was my worst, like the worst part ever. I hated memorizing anything. I was like, this is just school again. This isn't
This is more school.
extracurricular. It's just school. And so I just went to improv and I was like,
awesome.
oh, I'll try that out because they don't give me a script. And it was absolutely terrifying. It's the most, I didn't realize how horrible it was going to be until like, you're actually there and you realize like, oh, everything I'm saying is bombing. And like,
Gosh, that's my nightmare.
Yeah.
Like even even banter sometimes here, I'm like, oh god, that did not
That
land
didn't
how I
land.
wanted.
Right. Yeah.
Whoops.
And I think I take it pretty well now because of how young I was thrust into it. Just because they didn't really prep me for like how many people would be at this thing. It was at the Matthew's Playhouse.
So this isn't just workshops. This is a full-on like shows.
Yeah, like we started with workshops. We had like a week, and then we had to put together an improvised show. And there's plenty of parts where like audience participation, people would like yell out stuff, and that would be our word for whatever scene or topic.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. And my mom recorded it, and I went back and watched it, and I was like, "There's not a single laugh the whole time. There's not one. There's maybe a cough that you could like be like."
Maybe.
Is that a laugh? Like I was like, oh shoot, a laugh. And I went back. I was like, he just sneezed.
Nope, it was a
yeah, it was a and I was like, dang, like, but you can see we're laughing up there, like we're loving.
You're having a good time.
Well,
kind of.
Yeah, sort of. And then you like it kind of sets in. You're like, oh, this maybe not.
That's so funny. First of all, planning an improvised show sounds funny. That's a funny sentence.
Well, yeah,
I know, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But then the other part that I thought is, certainly you learned something. Like, what did you learn from that time? Is there a skill they taught you or something that you still like find yourself using or whatever? Or that you're like, people wouldn't know this about improv, but.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, no.
It's like, I learned nothing. I learned humility.
Yeah, really, the main thing I learned was like how to bounce back from falling straight on your face. Straight on your face. Yeah, no.
Which is important.
That's a big skill, man. That's a huge one.
Because we did a lot of like learning how to talk with your body, basically. Like learning, like they'd give you a word, and you'd have to just like act that word or whatever you think of when you think of that word. You know? Okay. So like super basic. If the word was old, you'd walk around pretend you had a cane and like old.
Yeah.
You know, that was basically what we did, and I'm sure there's way better like schools or academies or whatever for improv. I did it for 2 years, and that was about it.
Because I've always thought, like, if I were to try it, I would almost have to build. I'd almost have to go through and, like, the funniest names I can think of. Mm-hmm. What are the most...
Cause pull from a hat?
Yeah, something like that. But because it feels like, to me, the unexpected is funny in improv most of the time. It's something you're like, where you think it's going one direction and the person pulls out Mortimer or some name that you're just like...
Just some silly name.
Oh, I would never have thought of the name Mortimer. And now you're with them for a minute until, you know... Yeah, the unpredictability of it. So it's almost like I would have like a matrix of names of cities that are just odd, of, you know, like... I don't know, household appliances. I don't know. I've always tried to think, what would I have in my pocket so that I could pull out, you know, like a specific name.
Well, everybody had like their character. Okay. Or a few characters that like would fit certain scenes. Yeah. You know, and almost all of them were just like SNL sketches they seen.
I would just always pull a gun and shoot somebody and kill them.
Every single time. Because you have to say it's yes and. And
yes,
so if you shoot
the person with the fake gun and they die, then you win.
Yeah.
Do you remember that episode of Michael Scott where he has it into the pipe?
I was wondering, are you going to claim that?
Yes, I was waiting for one of you to say something, but he had. I think it's like in it, and he's just doing this because they told him he can't have a gun.
Can't shoot anybody.
Yes, he puts it under.
He's like, "What is that in your pocket? Is that a gun?" He said he has a gun.
He said he has a gun in his pocket.
Yeah, no.
To me, that's funny. Remembering that episode,
I had a really good character called Keegan the Vegan.
Okay,
and he was a cannibal.
Interesting.
He just hated the like whole like cow dairy industry. He hated it, and like, but if it was like a person, it was a fair game.
That's funny.
And we did this sitcom. We had to make a sketch in a day, and then we were gonna do it on stage, or they would pick one to do on stage, and then the whole premise would be like, we tell the audience, hey, this is an audience participation improv, but they made this in a day with no help, no props. That was like the improv part of it. And we came up with this great... It was just like a play on Friends, but like Ross was Keegan the Vegan.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we had a bunch of other like normal people, but like by the end I killed somebody and ate them. And that was like the punchline to this joke, was just that I ate them. And it was this really long scene of like screaming and horror, and it got cut for some reason.
What?
They were like, but we by far were the best option there. The one they ended up choosing to show was like
trash.
So bad. It was so boring, but it was because I think because they all laughed when we did because you have to perform it in front of like 3 guys.
Right.
That'll be like, okay, you can do this in front of people. And then they're like, no, it's too dark. But we were like, come on. Like,
but it's
Keegan
funny.
the Vegan. Like, but the idea is he's like a vegan, but like not really.
Thinks he is.
Yeah.
No, that's funny. you definitely would have made the audience feel something.
That was really I was trying, because last time I think I did the opposite, and so like, yeah, I wanted to, rebound.
Dude, so fill us in, like, because as we're recording this, it's fall of 2024. You just graduated high school, so what was your big takeaway from high school? I heard you say, this feels like more school, so I'm getting this vibe like that isn't a good thing. It's not like you were having this great experience with school. But anything you would say about school?
I hated it. Ever since I literally had been waiting for the day I got my diploma since I started like 6th grade.
So you just dislike school the whole time?
I just hated middle school through high school. I mean, elementary school was sick. Like,
what
literally
parts did you hate? Like the whole
the
thing?
whole thing. The idea that I had to go into a science class and had to learn about like chemicals. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
Like, I don't know.
So so was it having to learn about things you didn't care about?
I don't care, and I don't think I ever will. And I always was like, my mom or somebody might say like, oh, well, what if one day like you do? I'm like, yeah, one day I want to work in a meth lab. Like, I don't care about this. I'm definitely not going to be a physician.
To more than meth.
I'm definitely not going to do anything else. Like, there's no chance I'm going to school for 8 years or 6 years or however long it takes to be a doctor. So I'm like, I'm not doing that again. I never cared. I almost never studied.
Like social aspect too? Like,
I didn't make a single friend in high school. Yeah. Not a real one. Like, I had people that I would deal with in class. I'd be like, oh, we were in a project once and they were cool enough,
Sure.
But all my friends I met from outside.
That's crazy. And so you were just waiting for the day to be over so you could go hang with the people
and then
that
I could
are
unfollow
actually...
and block like everybody I knew from high school. Because it was like more obligation. I didn't want to be that
Follow
guy.
and block everybody.
I didn't want to go into high school every day and be like, dude, why did you unblock? Like, why did you block me yesterday?
Sure,
why did you unfollow me yesterday? Like, I'm like, I just don't like you.
So what was it? Was it the things that they were interested in, or the things they weren't interested in, or
I don't know.
Is there a blanket statement?
I don't know.
Because
really,
you're the president of teenagers, so I need you to speak for all of teenagers.
Right. Well, on behalf of a lot of teenagers I know, high school was where they peaked. So I think
you're just
having
trying
a lot of fun
to not let that happen.
I guess, yeah. If I peaked anywhere, it would have been elementary, though. So I think that would have been a little worse.
5th grade.
Yeah, 5th grade was sick. That was my, yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I could see why you hate it. If you don't have any people there that you vibe with.
Sure.
That's a tough.
And I wasn't in any clubs or
right. And you were in it was a smaller school.
Yeah.
And so, maybe there are fewer opportunities. You did know everyone.
Right.
Right, in your grade,
I knew pretty much everybody.
So,
I definitely knew everybody in my grade, but I pretty much knew everybody at the school. Like, it was like, I don't know, my class was under 200 people, I think.
Okay.
But, yeah, I don't know. I kind of over-exaggerate a little bit how much I hated the people there. But the school aspect I did really hate. I liked, I had a really great Italian teacher, and I had a really great English teacher my senior year. So I'm glad I met them. Definitely good influences and like the direction I want to take my life just in general. So that was part of that. I'm glad. Both of them had incredibly easy classes though, and I think that's part of why. Because I was like the English one. I've always done pretty good at English, so he was like, read this book and write me like an essay on it, and I was like, I've done it. There you go, and that was it. That's all I had to do for his class. And then the Italian one was like, I knew enough.
Yeah,
Italian to get through it.
And so you're repping Italia
boom.
today.
I actually forgot I was wearing that.
Yeah,
look at that.
And so family is Italian, I think, at least in some part, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
grandma, mom's side.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things I know about you, again, having known you for so long, is that one of your best friends, who obviously wasn't going to school with you, was 1 year ahead of you in school. And I think you guys met as really young kids.
Like right when I moved to North Carolina.
Okay.
I was like 2, maybe 1.
And so your families knew each other, I guess, obviously?
Yeah,
because
they met at a park.
Oh, that's awesome.
And our parents
seriously just met at a park?
Like a play date?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, we were just happened to both
one.
be on the swings. Yeah.
And so you're
That's
both
awesome.
families are randomly at the park together. You're on the swings with this giant Scandinavian kid who's 2 years old and has, or 3, he'd been 3,
would be 3.
and had a super deep voice for a toddler.
He had such a high voice until like
Yes.
he turned 16, 17,
That's
and then
so
it
funny.
dropped.
Yeah.
Like way lower.
But shout out Tryg.
Tryg.
Tryggg. Tryg.
I don't think I knew that the relationship went back quite that far.
Yes.
Yeah.
I literally can
really
see you
cool.
guys having, so like Rhett and Link, shout out Good Mythical Morning, but they have been friends for like
Since they were
ever. And so
children.
I could easily see you two doing something in adulthood.
Oh, yeah.
That's the
sure.
goal.
That's amazing.
goal.
I could easily see that being the case. You're
Well,
both
we've-
crazy creative.
We wanted to make a cartoon since we were for like at least 6-7 years.
Oh, that
Yeah.
would be so cool.
Yeah.
So one day.
Yeah, it will
Yeah.
happen. And he's
Yeah.
at SCAD right now
For animation.
getting his animation degree. But I can remember a year ago when your best friend in the world leaves Charlotte and moves to Savannah. And that's a rough go. And
Yeah.
so tell us about your hurt. No, I'm just saying, what was that? What
It was
that
hard.
like?
I was like, when he first moved in, it was like losing like a long-term girlfriend. Because I was jealous of his friends. I literally like
Oh, yeah,
his
yeah, that
roommate.
makes
He was
sense.
texting me. He was like,
That's
"This is the
valid.
coolest guy you'll ever meet. You guys are gonna get along so well." And I was like, "Pfft,
That's not helpful.
F that dude.
I'm sure we
Yeah.
will. I'm sure we will." Yeah. And then I learned that his roommate, who was the best guy ever,
He
was
really is.
also he was a film major, and he liked all the same movies as me. And I was like,
Bro.
I texted him about like I used to respond to it like one of his stories because he was at this like pre-showing for Marcel the show with shoes on.
Yes.
If anybody's seen that, it's so good. But he was there for like a pre-screening of it because it was way back when it was like not out yet, and it was like a film festival that was happening at Savannah. And I texted, I was like, "How was it?" And we just talked, and I was like, "Crap."
Wait, you talk with Tryg or you talk
Friend.
with his friend?
His
Oh,
friend.
no
Like,
way.
crap,
And
we're
you're
that's
like,
awesome.
we're like this. Yeah,
damn it, that
he's
dude
so
is
cool.
so cool. I don't want him to be this cool.
I know, and I was
Such a
I was even
bummer.
more jealous. I was like, yeah, he actually is cooler than me, Trig. You're right. I was, and so when I visited, like we hung out, like the
Bro.
first day, I was like, he gave me a hug. I was like, dang,
I don't want to like you, man.
like I judged a book by his cover, and he was just as cool as I thought he would be.
Dang.
That's
You're like, Tryg, I want this for you.
he's got good.
I've
He's got good
realized.
taste.
I
He's,
don't want this for
I
you.
don't, but I'm good. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
But no, now, yeah.
He's like,
That's not my personality. I'm like, no, you can't be friends with them.
sorry.
Really,
You
You
need to
have
stop
that
seeing him
spot
immediately.
filled.
that's filled
already.
already. I'm in your life. Yeah,
You give Tryg an ultimatum. Like,
yeah. I can't.
or this is over.
I was like, well, we did have a prenup before you went to Savannah. So
Violated it
you
semester
violated
one.
it the first day you were there.
Yeah,
So
that's hilarious.
taking you to court. But yeah, no, I don't feel as much hurt now. But when it first, it's just one of those things where it's like time does heal it because
Yeah.
I had to fill my loss of the best friend I had other ways. I have great friends in
Yeah.
general, not just
And it's
Trig.
not a true loss. Like literally, you
Yeah.
guys talk all the
All the
time, and all
time.
that. It's
Play
not like
video
you have
games together all the
severed
Huge
time.
ties.
transition of
That's a
time.
big, yeah.
Like it's a.
No,
it's
we'd see each other
whole-
every day in person,
Right.
do everything all the time. We were at each other's house all the time.
Yeah.
So that I think it was hard, but it was also like, well, we found ways, and I visited him.
Yeah. You've been down to Scats
Yeah,
many
so.
times. And when he comes home,
Then we
you guys hang.
every single day.
Yeah.
When he's home. Yeah.
That's awesome.
His parents don't get to see him when he's home. It's literally he sleeps at my house the whole time.
That's crazy.
It's awesome.
You're like, sorry, Bob.
Yeah, sorry,
His
Bobby's
name,
mine.
his dad's name is
His
Bob.
dad's name is Bob. Yeah,
Yeah, he's mine now.
Robert.
And then, so you like Tryg is at school, you recognize, dang man, like I had invested everything I had in this relationship. Now it's, he's gone, he's not as accessible. You obviously leaned in and you have now amazing other great friends. But here we are in the fall and you graduated with several of these people that you're really tight with, including now a long-term girlfriend. And I'm sorry to do this, but
It's really.
it's more pain is coming.
Yeah.
But now, just like in August,
Yep.
one of your great friends, Luca, and your girlfriend both leave for college.
Yeah.
And not just college, but in the
The
same
same
college.
school.
Yeah, the same place.
Yeah.
That's painful, man.
To be completely honest, I cried every single day
Yeah.
for weeks. 2 weeks at least. And then sometimes I do again.
Yeah,
I feel
Just
the
randomly.
exact same way.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Like
No,
such
and
a
the car
void.
ride home with her family, none of them cry. So
That's right. So
That's
you
true.
went to the drop-off weekend
yeah, with her family.
with her
I
family.
go in, I make sure she's good to go. I give her a huge hug. I leave. I get in the car. I'm like,
with her mom and dad.
yeah, and her 2 younger siblings or all 3 of her younger siblings, and we're driving back. Nobody says a word. Nobody cries.
Except for you.
Except for you.
Yeah, because you texted me.
Oh, it was when I
It's
texted
your
you.
fault.
Yeah.
I wanted to
Yeah,
know how
this
he
is-
was. I
this
was
is news.
asking, dude. I know this had to be a rough day.
Yeah, so
Ew.
he texted me and was like,
Jeez.
Is that bad? I wanted to be like.
let me
supportive.
pull up what you
extra.
texted.
Oh,
I want
no,
to
you
read
don't
it
have
out.
to read
it was
it
just
out
it was just a
loud.
normal Ed text. I mean, it's just a classic Ed, really sweet,
Dude, maybe we
really
shouldn't
sweet
do this.
way
We'll
of
delete,
saying
we'll delete
things.
this part of the show.
Absolutely
You
delete
can edit
won't.
this.
We'll
Don't
edit
you
this
can't
part
cut this out. You can't cut this out. This is staying in. Let me find because
We text a lot.
we do. It's buried, but you just sent me like a normal text, like a normal friend,
And it brought on
and it just brought on the tears, man.
the waterworks.
Dude, that wasn't my intention. I was just thinking about you because I think I texted you earlier in the weekend, and I had asked like, "What is the timeline? When are you getting back?" or something. I don't know. And then you're like in the car on the way
Yeah.
back.
So I posted a picture of her because I had just left, and
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like, "How are you doing with all this?" And I was like, I'm not." And then you were basically like, "I'm so sorry, man. I love you. I'm sorry you're hurting." Boom. Gone. It was all
It's not
gone
as bad as I thought.
immediately.
See, I didn't
it wasn't
go
as
into
bad,
all
right?
these
It's just a
details.
trigger.
Very
It was
checking
on a
just
bro.
Friendly
trigger.
Ed
Okay.
text, and it was just the
Okay.
worst time to ask because I was
Yeah,
like
I'm
on
so
the way
sorry.
home,
The timing was
and
so
nobody
bad.
else was speaking, and I
Yeah.
was like, "This is the first person who's asked
Yeah.
Gosh.
at all. First person who's asked like, did anything? Did you feel anything?"
I knew you were feeling
Right,
something.
and they were then so
yeah.
yeah, it was hard, and it's still hard. It doesn't really get better so
Yeah.
far. One of me and my girlfriend Sky's friends is like told her that it gets better, apparently, because she has a long distance boyfriend, and apparently it gets better. But
Still waiting on that.
yeah, I'm waiting on that.
Yeah,
You know,
you're like,
I'm like,
any
I
day
don't
now.
know. I visit every other week, at least, sometimes every week.
Do you have the tracking number on it so you can at least see where it is, like, in the trip? The solace that's coming.
was
Horrible
like-
joke.
Which one?
I was just being dumb about like waiting on an Amazon
Oh,
package.
when it
and then, like,
comes.
when you have the tracking number
When
on
the
when
sol-
that
okay.
solace or that piece is going to arrive.
it.
It was a horrible analogy.
No,
it
was.
Apologies to
But
both
now
of
that
you.
you've explained it in
Apologies to anyone
retrospect, I think
watching.
it's super funny.
Yeah.
It just
No, it's
maybe
not,
at the
it's definitely not.
maybe it's just
super
the
funny.
wrong audience.
Yeah, it was. You mean humans?
I mean, it just
Yeah.
Shoo.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody.
it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Rewind. All right.
I love when
Whoa, that
you
was
do that.
good, dude.
It's one of my favorites.
So here you are, and your friends and your girlfriend are away. And last we were talking, you're trying to figure out your plan because the plan is potentially for you to join them next semester. So what are you doing right now? And from what you've learned over these past, like literally it's been 14, 15 months with Trieg moving away and now these friends moving away, girlfriend moving away. Like, what are you doing now? What's your plan moving forward? Anything you would tell someone who was potentially going through the same thing, who has watched their friends move away to school or, they're staying close to go to school, whatever. Like, fill us in.
Well, I'll start by saying the main reason I didn't go to college with them, with all these people, is because I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I was like, what's the point of wasting my money, my parents' money, scholarship money? It's not worth it if I don't know,
Yeah.
And I'm just like a really low energy person. And so when it comes to like the college experience isn't exactly that alluring to me,
Mm-hmm.
Like a party to me is like 3 people.
This is a great party.
I'm like, dude, this is hype.
Yeah.
This is the most energy I've felt in a room in a while.
Okay.
So that tells you anything about my household. We take naps every day.
Yeah.
We're like sloths. We just kind of sit around with our animals.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I do like part of it. Like I like friend parties and I like seeing a bunch of people, and like the idea of dorm life could be cool, but to me I was just like, if I don't know what I want to do and none of that even sounds like a fun experience to go to on campus, in person, in dorm. Like, I was like, why don't I just keep doing what I was doing before? Because most of my senior year, despite me hating school, I did a lot of credits. And so I got very little. I had like 2 classes to do at high school my senior year, and all of it was college. The rest of it, I just did community college.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing community college, just full-time now, along with working.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing. So is it helping you lean in any direction? Do you find yourself as you're getting more experience, like, I think I want to do this, or has it been affirming, like, man, I'm really glad that I didn't like jump off this ledge and go off to school and spend time and money doing something I wasn't ready for or didn't want?
So I will say, for anybody questioning a decision, and this might not be great advice.
No, if it's your advice.
But it's the advice that at least I've learned for me. 100% of the time, what you're looking for is on the other side of something that you're horrified of. First of all. And second of all, I take the easiest choice most of the time. And I think I should have just dived straight in.
So you now, looking back, feel like you should have just jumped and gone to school.
Figured it
Because
out
who
as you
cares?
went.
Because, like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what I'm doing there either. Like, I don't think it's going to just happen. You're not just going to wait, and then one day you're going to wake up and be like, oh, wait, this is what I want to do. That's what I was supposed to do the whole time. I'm glad I waited around and waited for it to come to me, you know?
Right. Discovery happens through, like, failing and figuring it out and living it and saying, I liked this, I didn't like this, move on, that sort of thing. So And the fear part is totally true, too, totally valid about the right thing is often just on the other side of something that you don't want to do that takes you out of your comfort zone.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy. And thinking about you realizing that even if you didn't necessarily have a direction, possibly you could have experienced something. Is that kind of the way you're thinking, that maybe if you'd gone to Wilmington, you'd have run into something, bumped into somebody doing something, a club, a class, or something that maybe like, oh, I've never even considered this. Maybe this is what I want to do. Because, I mean, it's not like you're just waiting. You really are taking classes and you are working.
And I'm working.
And you're coming on podcasts. Right.
I'm glad I'm not stagnant. But a part of that, of me doing this and coming on podcasts and doing, like, I'm trying to fill something.
Yeah.
I'm here because I need to keep myself busy, and I need to do things, and I need to share something, and I need to have people. So, like, all that would be more of like just a given if you were somewhere else, I feel like. I don't know. But I think one thing one of my teachers told me, so boom, back to school being good, I guess. Was he said you needed to move. I need to move somewhere. I need to go somewhere. Because I'm like a homebody and I just like being comfortable a lot, you know? I like my room. I like my house. I like where I live. I'm like, sweet. I'll live here, you know, forever. Who cares? What do you mean? I'm not gonna have all my friends that just live on one street one day next to me. Like,
still my dream, by the way.
Right? Yeah. Have everybody.
He tells us all the time.
And it's. I think great minds think alike, Ed, because that is just the ideal life.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to just be with the people that I think I'm meant to be with and live that. And so, realizing like that's not happening. Like that's just not happening. You have to grow up one day and you have to realize, what do I need to do to figure out where I need to go? Because I'm never really going to know. No one's really going to be like, die one day and be like, I did everything I was supposed to. You know?
Yeah.
It's going to be like, well, shit. I guess I could have done a bit more, but I lived a pretty good one. You know, like that's
I think that's most likely the way it's going to be.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. But hopefully,
yeah,
you know, that's I think the good ending. That's the good ending.
Yeah, that's the good ending.
But I should have taken some kind of risk. I think, even if it wasn't going to Wilmington with them, maybe even a bigger risk would have been going to App or going to who knows. And then now, is it like, if I go to Wilmington, am I doing it because my girlfriend and one of my best friends are there?
Yeah.
Or is it because I really want to? So I don't. It's like.
It sounds like you're asking yourself some great questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you planning to figure that out?
Boom, another great
keep
question.
Keep doing what I'm doing, I guess. I don't know. I've found that I'm good at work, at what I do for work, and I need work. If anybody, like, work is one of the best thing that's ever happened to me. I've been working since I was 15 and haven't stopped.
Most people don't see it that way. How, just real quick, I don't want to get you off that train of thought, but what are you talking about? Like, explain to us why work has been so good for you.
So I need to, at least for somebody like me, I need to do things that feel like I'm progressing in some way. There's some level of progression in what I'm doing. And so even if it's a slow shift and I'm not doing anything and I wish I wasn't there, I leave and I'm like, I made money today.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going home and I'm knowing like, oh, I didn't just sit around and do nothing, which is what school felt like.
That's what your instinct is, to stay home, stay in the comfort. So work pushes you out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're compensated for that time. Like it's a sacrifice, but then you're getting something.
And it doesn't always have to be a sacrifice. You know, like sometimes you can just go to work, and especially I work in a customer service job, which in a retail store is like one of the worst jobs you could work on paper. But I work with enough people and I know enough about the place I work that I can help see people happy. Like we have a lot of people who are disabled in some way who come in, and I seeing the joy that those people get when I'm there, just playing Lego with them, just sitting there, and there's like their parents, and they're happy, and then seeing the messages that they write after, like even if the survey's like a 9,
8 out of 10,
but if it's written like
so
they did so good, like it's the first time I've seen my son so happy, blah, blah, you know, like
that's awesome.
That means way more. And so
really
in
cool.
that case, like shit, I would have done that for free. Like, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
So and I get paid, like sweet. So I like that. That's definitely a good thing. I don't want to work in a retail store forever, not even for like one more day, but I'm going to
You're going to do it?
I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And I'd like to do something for Lego because I think in the end of the day, it's a pretty good company.
Yeah.
Compared to all the other capitalist corporations. I mean, it's still that. It's literally, we make plastic.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's not, so like, you know, but the people that I get to work with and the knowing that the company overall agrees with my values of helping people and loving people and being there for people and donating things to people, like, yeah, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, man. I think you have stumbled on one of your core values. Like it sounds like this idea of having purpose and bringing value to other people. Obviously seems really deeply important to you. It's interesting what you said about on the other two things. Your teacher said something about go somewhere, like go do something. And I think that's a really, really big deal. And then the difficulty part, I think those are often the same thing, right? That on the other side of difficulty. There's an author that I really like who's written a couple of books and has done some cool things. But right now he has realized he's kind of in this space where he's gotten really comfortable. And he's literally going to go live in a cabin in the woods for like, I think 60 days, like through the election season or whatever, without any social media, without anything. And just, he'll go into town. Obviously he's going to be staying near a town, and he's like, I'll just get news by the way of hearing other people talking about it or what's on in the cafe when I go in. But I just want to go have another experience, because he's recognized that his books have come from all of these difficult places that he's put himself in throughout his life, and these kind of wild circumstances that, you know, he's been through has fueled his writing. And it's given him a lot of purpose and direction and all of that. And I can't remember, I want to say it's Franklin or somebody, I can't remember who said it, but the paraphrase is something along the lines of, like, do things worth writing stories about, is something, it's along those lines of, there are people out there reading stories, and then there are people out there living things that they will then one day write stories about.
Right.
So you can sit and read about other people's adventures, which I think we all love to do in our shows and the TikTok feed, and the things that people are doing are crazy and all of this. But we're such consumers that we've forgotten that a great deal of joy comes from that fear of going and doing something and then coming back different.
And that like process of going out of your comfort zone to do it also. Yeah,
that's wild.
Or even just like live a life worth remembering.
Yeah.
Something that is good to look back on and be like, that was fun, or that was good, or I'm glad I did that,
Yeah. And so, man, this is a tough spot, and I really appreciate you being so vulnerable with us around this, because I think there are people, and I joke about this, among our tens of listeners that are going to identify
one
with.
day. What episode of the podcast is it? 5? 4?
I can't remember. I think this will be 4 or 5 probably.
Right.
So
maybe one day I'm gonna come back as a guest, and it's gonna be like so much bigger.
You're gonna be like a Lego architect.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
And I'm gonna
designing
be like,
Lego sets.
I could never, because that would require more years of school than I could do. Because you have to have an architecture degree to do it.
Do you really? Is it architecture degree?
You have to pass like a bunch of stuff.
I don't know if it was engineering or what.
Well, it's both. You could do both, I think, to get into it, but then you have to take classes in both and pass tests in both.
Well, that's a lot more than I thought.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I could just like build something out of Lego and be like, can I get in? That'd be sick. Yeah,
right. There'd be a couple people applying for that job.
Yeah, I think if I stick with the company, I'm going to go in business and marketing. That's something I'm interested in, which is rare to find one of those subjects. So I'm like, that's pretty good for now. I think.
No kidding. Since you're president of teenagers and you speak for all the teenagers, what do you think? Like, because I think a lot of parents will listen in on these podcasts too. Even though it's designed for students. I'm just saying, dude.
You've said
one
nothing.
Of the things, you've said nothing, and I know the relationship that you have with your mom and how open you guys are. I feel like there's almost no secrets between you and your mom. No. She's always created this incredible space for you to express anything that you're going through, which is, I think, part of what's made you particularly and special in a way.
She asked if she could listen to this. After I was like, depends what I say.
I'll tell you.
I said I'll
How's
let
it
you
going
know.
So far,
I think hey, Mom.
So far. Hey, Mom.
So far.
So
but
far.
We're so
but then
good.
later at the end of this, I might be like, okay, Mom.
But is there anything that you've learned, I think, just in and this, you can only speak to your own experience, like you've done so far, that parents listening, like it would be interesting for them to hear, like that they probably don't know about their kid, the world that their teen is living in right now, or just like about what this life is like for you, that would be helpful for an adult to hear. They would maybe not know. And that's a huge question. I kind of really did put you on the spot. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a lot of things. I'd say for a lot of parents, and a lot of parents push their kids too hard, so I guess not that, but you should push your kids to do things.
There's a medium.
There's a medium. I think a lot of people are like, and I was the exact same way. Like, I'm an adult now. Like, let me just do what I want, And I was like 14, so not really an adult. I was like, let me just do it. Like, I just want to have fun. Like, I just, But really pushing your kids to make decisions on their own, and not pushing them in ways of your choice. Not being
that's very different.
Then pushing them to do what you want. No. But pushing them to strive for the best version of itself, instead of being like, hey, I just want to live my life. But I'm not a parent, so I don't know how to do that correctly. So like, I can't.
What do you think?
Maybe just some accountability.
Yeah.
Like, we're not trying to force our values on you. We're just trying to make sure that there are parameters set up so that you don't miss opportunities or.
Yeah. And your mom apparently has done this pretty well.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're speaking to, your own experience? Do you think your mom has allowed you to
recently,
make your own decisions? And
Yeah, she has, but then in certain ways I'm like, Mom, why don't you just make the decision for me? I don't like it. And then I realize, like, that's the worst,
That's not helpful either.
Don't want to grow up being, you don't want to depend on them. You want to, as a parent, the goal is to have the kid leave the house one day and be their own human.
Yeah.
And be strong and ready and able to make their own decisions. And it's a weird balance when you think about it, because every kid's perspective is like, I just want to do what I want.
Yeah.
And then every parent's perspective is like, I just want you to do what I want. And I guess the answer really somewhere in between, like, learning that they're their own person, they're going to make their own decisions no matter what. You don't have say over their own decisions, but they need somebody to speak into their life and have influence and say, hey, this is probably a good idea. Yeah. And maybe this isn't a good idea. And, so basic stuff that most parents know, I I guess.
I don't know.
I mean, you both are parents, so you tell me. I don't know.
I'm not in that season yet.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'll re-listen to this.
And go back and be like, was
10 years
Caleb
or so.
on the mark at all?
Well, it's funny because my girls are actually really close to your age, like sandwiched. Like I have one older than you, one younger than you.
A little bit older, one's a little bit younger. Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I just think about with Jen and I think that's kind of what we did. I think it was a lot of open dialogue of, okay, I mean, let's just think this decision through out loud. And so why do you want to do this? Like helping them kind of try and understand what is the motivation? What do you really want from this? And then thinking about this idea that you are a community of yous. I think I use that with my coaching clients a lot. You're you now, but you are you in a year, you are you in 5 years, and all of that kind of like that. Well, that sounds like, a worry for future me. That kind of, it's become almost a meme. But like, let's talk about who is this good for? Is it good for all the iterations of you, at least into the near future? And how does this affect the people around you and what you want most? And then, okay, let's run with it. And then this willingness, and this is scary for Jen and I, because we're just now starting it with our youngest as well, is their senior year. And I learned this from Whitney. They really didn't, our oldest didn't really have that many rules when she was a senior. We kind of just said, okay, your curfew, all of that stuff is kind of up to you. You don't really have a curfew. Just know, we kind of want to know where you are. We want to know you're safe. And when you stay up late, one of us as a parent is probably not going to be sleeping well or is going to be awake until you get home, just hoping you get home safe. So your actions do affect other people in the house. So that kind of a conversation. But then also they were at home when they maybe were going to fail. And so that we could be there to help them as opposed to just going off to school and having freedom, genuine freedom for the first time. And I think our oldest is like, well, we kind of was no rules. And it really was no rules, but we would just have really open dialogue about how her decisions were affecting other people. So I don't know. So maybe to your point, I guess we did kind of try to do it that way. Really let them steer it. Right. Feel some of the consequences, but also at the same time, it was this agreement there's going to have to be an open dialogue during the whole thing.
And it's better that they failed
a trade
then versus failing.
That was the hope and the dream. And so,
when they don't have anybody, or they may not have anybody.
Failure is inevitable and good.
And exactly. Which is
the mistakes guide the path, and so, like you were saying, try this, don't try this. They're going to lead to dead ends. And then you pick it up and you take it and you keep moving forward. And those are all really important to learn before you have all of those major consequences after high school.
When the consequences are literally legal consequences at some point because you're, an adult. But yeah, man. Well, I genuinely appreciate you being so open and honest. And this, I have a feeling, will not be the last time that we have Caleb.
That would be sad.
On the podcast.
That would be sad if it was.
I think we've even joked about having a podcast together.
Yep,
because it would be really fun to talk about all kinds of things, from aliens and ghosts, and
it would just be like
every faith and everything else, all this, all of it, world religions, all that stuff. Just talk about everything.
Harder to watch and listen than this.
Too much. It'd be harder to follow. That's for sure. But yeah, man, awesome. Genuinely appreciate you. Can't wait to hear what happens with your story.
Yeah, man. Glad you guys are a part of it. Look at that.
Yeah. Sweet.